everyone. So this is what happens when it's too hot. You can see how dry everything looks. Well, except this pomegranate tree looking very green. And yeah, this is one of those honey eater birds that comes here for the nectar. It's so cute. There's quite a few different varieties or species, but this is one of the smaller ones. Looks pretty fat. It's getting enough nectar from these flowers here. This year there hasn't been so much of blooms on this pomegranate tree because I did give it a hard prune. But anyway, back to this. I need to clean up the space because it's so dry. And you know, the alyssum's done. They bloomed so lovely over spring and even right up until early summer. And this bully buttons, I don't know, I really wanted it so badly, but I don't know, it hasn't been as lovely as I expected it to be. At first, in spring it looked lovely, but they just keep falling over, and I did tie them up now, but probably I should have done that from the start because it was just falling over the other plants. And I don't know what's going on here anymore because everything is so overgrown. And this daisy, I actually, when I bought it, it was such a tiny plant. And even being so tiny, it had flowers. But since I planted it here, it's grown so tall and there hasn't been a single flower on it. So I'll just wait and see until the end of summer because it's January now. We are in the midst of our summer here in Australia. So I'll just wait and see what happens to it. And then this salvia, this is an African sky blue salvia, which has just taken over that entire space. It's grown outwards, fallen over all the other plants, and it's just out of hand. It's out of control, I should say. I need to trim it back, trim it really hard. There's another one on this side as well that didn't get as huge. But yeah, so it's just that bacopa in the bottom, it's dry. Yeah, the summer has been so harsh, and I felt this year it got hotter much quicker than it has in previous years. So I need to just cut out all the stuff because they just they need a trim anyway, and maybe I need to put something else here for the harsh summer because these probably are only for spring. They did so lovely in spring. They were pretty and bright, and now they're looking very tired. And the alyssum, yeah, I can expect that. The alyssum is fine. They usually do go like this by summer, and they do the best in spring. And you can see from the side view, I can't see what's going on here. Now I have my my hardy plants here in between. This is a Hardenbergia. This is a native. So I have quite a few native plants here, which they are doing fine. This is the Ozothamnus rice plant. That's doing fine as well. Yeah, they seem to, they don't mind obviously the hot Australian summer. And I'll just show you how lovely it looked in spring. And you can see the comparison now. The flowers are not blooming. It's looking all dry. My grass is looking okay. My feather falls. But yeah, that bully buttons, as I said, see how it's falling over the path. It's not straight. It's probably leaning towards the sun as well. But now I need to cut it out because it's on my way when I come to water the plants here. This daisy is doing okay. I did cut it back, and these few are all my native Australian plants. And I planted them because, you know, they bloom in late winter and early spring, and that's when you really need the flowers. So I planted those, and they did flower, but well, now they're not in bloom, but they'll start getting their buds, you know, for blooming in late winter again. And in spring, mid-spring and summer, we have all these other annuals. but it's just too much now. You can see it just, there's like nothing going on here. It's like a mess, a jungle there. And I'll do a full before pan over the space, and you can see how massive that salvia is. You can't see where the garden ends and the grass begins, and the grass is also getting into the garden bed. And you know, we have such hot summers here, and we have really deadly snakes, so I need to cut all this out. And you know, I planted all these plants for the bees, and they're not doing anything. There's just no bees here. They haven't come to use the hotel, and look, they're just standing and it's leaning. Even I need to, you know. And then I noticed something looks, yeah, that actually I was so excited to see that, because that two spaces there that's closed up, that means there are babies there. And it's actually working. Thank goodness I didn't. Well, I was actually going to pull it aside, but yeah, after seeing that, I was like watching it every day. I couldn't get enough. Every afternoon I was out there trying to scrutinize it and see what was happening. And then every day there was more of the holes being filled. So more of the bees were coming and laying their eggs, because what they do is they need a deep compartment, and they lay an egg, they put food in there, and then they close it up, and then they make another compartment, and they do that right till the very end. And that's when you seal it off, and you can see the whole bamboo stalk is sealed off. And I managed to see the bee even, so that was so exciting. You know, I didn't think that hotel was working, and it seems I've got guests in my hotel there. Well, they're not guests, because this is like a sort of a nursery now. They've laid their eggs there, and I'll have to wait for spring. And our spring here in Australia will be in September, so I need to maybe keep a camera focused on this space. And you know, I was gonna cut all these flowers, but anyway, that's fine. I'll cut the flowers, because my neighbor has lots of flowers in her garden, so they can go there, eat in her garden, and come here and lay their eggs, and you know, stay in this hotel. And I've got water, and then when in the heart of winter, when it's when there's no flowers, I will have the native flowers for them to feed on. So that will be good. And you can see how busy they've been. Yeah, so I managed to catch so many of them coming in and out of the nest, which was so exciting. Oh, it is still so exciting, because I'm still out there to check them all the time. This is probably also a native bee, but I'm not sure which one it is. And then one of the evenings, when I went out there, was it the evening? Yeah, I took out a photo, and I saw that it was very early in the morning, and I saw that they were actually sleeping in the hole. So I suppose once they lay a few eggs, they stay in it until they finished sealing up that entire hole. And you can see a close-up of all their little butts, just this in the bee in those bamboo shoots. And that is so exciting. I wonder if that's a discovery. I should maybe send it to some bee experts to check it out, and also find out what bee this is. It's not there's so many species, so I don't know which one it is. These ones have a little red little bottom, and yeah, so you can see they were sleeping in all day. And there's so many holes that they already filled up, and there's not just one bee, as you can see. So these are solitary bees. They live on their own. They don't have a hive. They just make their own nests and have their babies, and and then they go off and the babies hatch. So you can see here, this one was very busy laying. So they lay their eggs, they fill it up with pollen, and then they seal it. So when the baby's born, there is food in that cell for them to eat. And as I said, they keep doing that. They lay so many males, and so I think mostly females and then a few males, and that is why these tubes have to be a certain length. And I bought this bee hotel, but I'm gonna try and make it now. I had actually almost given up on it, and I was gonna leave it, and I thought I'll just straighten it up and leave it there, but it actually works. So if you guys want to try it, I'd say just go ahead and put up a bee hotel. You can buy this in one of your um, plant shops, because that's where I bought mine, and they sell it. I think it's up to standard. Nothing beats a natural one, but anyway, this was good enough. You can see it's working. These bees have come here and they've made it into a house. So you should try that. Just put up a hotel, and if you guys got some flowers, or even if your neighbors got flowers, you put the house there so they can go and feed next door, and they have accommodations. So this is so good. I am so excited. I'm so excited that it worked. And I told you I watched this on one show. This lady that has a 17-meter square garden and balcony garden. Actually, I don't know how many floors up she is. And it's such a tiny little garden, but she had this hotel and the bees came, and that's when I thought, oh, let me try this too. And if you have an open space, they are going to come, and this is so beautiful to be able to give these solitary bees a space to make their nests and lay their eggs, and know that their babies are going to carry on the next generation. Yes, and that space in the corner was just a wasted space in my garden, and I planted up these plants and put in this bee hotel, and I just stuck it up on an old branch that I had. So I'll try and link that video here when I put up the hotel, and I just put it up on an old tree that had died, and I tied it up so it's nice and secure. And yeah, so this one was very busy sealing up that hole, the nest, I should say nest. I don't know what they call hive. No, it's not a hive. I don't know what you call these solitary bee homes. And yeah, so you can imagine nothing was getting done, because all the time I was only running outside there and trying to record these bees and look what they're up to. And they don't sting. They are stingless bees, so that's good. And look, there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's seven homes, 7 little nurseries, and each one is full of little eggs. Just excuse dogs barking and my neighbor's noises. And yeah, and you can see this one was busy. I don't know what, probably laying the eggs. I don't know what the eggs look like, but yeah, it was busy there, and so many were full. And I'm gonna keep checking that. And we are still in summer, so our summer runs from December, January, February. So I presume they lay their eggs in the summer, and or in the summer, so it can stay there over autumn and winter, and then the bees hatch out in spring. So the rest of the summer, they're going to be really busy, and I'm wondering if I might need to extend my hotel. But then look, to show you, I got a spider. I was also come there to use the hotel. This is a huntsman spider, and if you're squeamish, just look away. They are pretty harmless. They don't do anything. They just look big. They're like big babies. And I want to show you that they're not doing anything to these bees. They are just sharing that hotel. This one has been living there. I've seen him the whole of winter. So he or she has been staying in the largest bamboo pipe there. It's been staying there the whole of winter. And yeah, so it's out and about doing its thing. They do catch insects, but they are not catching the bees. And I waited and I watched, and I saw this bee was so busy there in its hole. And every time the other bees were flying around, and this huntsman was just staying in its own little room. And yeah, so they are living in harmony. And I know that they're not harming the bees, and they can share the space. Look how good they are. So look there, you can see him in the big hole there. He or she is just quite comfy. And yes, I'm back now. After days of looking at this bees, I had to come and clean it up. And that's okay, it's okay to clean it up, because there's lots of seeds that's going to sprout. But as I said, I have a lot of native flower plants that I've planted here, which will be perfect for when there are no other flowers. And for now, there's plenty of flowers around in everyone's gardens. And I was just doing one section at a time, clean up that section, and then move on to the next. Because I don't know if I said this already, but we have a lot of snakes here in Australia, right? And they mostly won't come to or be in the front. They will try to hide, but I don't want so much of plants that I cannot see the ground and I don't know if one is sitting in the garden. And that's why also I wanted to clean this up so I can see the ground and I can see where I'm walking and if anything's on the ground. So I don't want to give them a space to come and sit here, even though they will try to run away. We have dogs and our yard is so tiny, so I just don't want to encourage them to come and find a cozy little spot here in this small space. And they usually are out and they live mostly by the lakes and stuff. They look for some water source. Spider alert, look away. If you're squeamish, I've got spiders on the screen. They were all running around with their babies while I was cleaning up the ground. So they're gone. You can look again. Right, so I've done quite a bit here. And you can see what a big difference it is after I've taken out all that alyssum. That path that I had in the garden for the dogs, you couldn't even see that anymore. And that pomegranate tree has got lots of shoots at the bottom, which I need to cut out because that's also blocking the space. And you can see that path is now there, which was all hidden by that plants. And then, while I clean up, always I have this friend, this blackbird, that comes there to forage for insects. So he was watching me, and they're my dogs. Kuro and Petal also have to come and investigate anything that I'm doing. And they could get into the garden now. So I don't know what a good idea that is. There's my friend waiting patiently on the fence for me to finish. Yeah, he also does, or he or she does a lot of damage by pulling out plants that are currently there. And I made good progress. Pulled out so much of, they're not weeds, I shouldn't say weeds, but there were a lot of weeds mixed in. And I needed to tackle that African sky salvia. I thought this was actually going to be so attractive to bees, but I have not seen a single bee on this plant. But the other plants had so much, and it's so massive. It's taken up so much of space. Oh, look, my blackbird friend. I just left the camera for a little while and he came to investigate. But we got back too quickly and then he ran away. Yeah, that still chopping. This small space had so much of, the plants were so huge and it was so much. I almost filled up the green bin after cleaning up this corner. And as I was saying, I don't know if that's a good idea. You can see the dogs can get in now. They couldn't get in the space because the plants were so full and so dense here. Now, I don't know, they're going to be walking around. So if I plant something, they are going to trample it. Look, Kuro is gone right to the end now. He can investigate everything. But yes, so that's good too because, it's nice and open. I can see right up till the fence now. As I said, I like to see what's going on. My patient friend. Yeah, birds were busy here because they have nests in the trees above here. And a lot of the grass sent runners into the garden as well. That's what happens when you have a holiday and it's summer holidays and you're doing other stuff. The moment you just look away, everything just outgrows the space. and some were so dry, and this ground was actually so dry. I didn't think it was so dry until I cleaned it up. But yeah, so that is so much better. Yeah, that now I can see all the plants that are that are healthy here and doing well, which I will leave. And most of them that are standing up there, you can see looking green, is they are all the native plants that they didn't bat an eyelid with this heat of summer, and we've had some scorching days. Now this Amaria did dry up. I think it might catch on. There's quite a few shoots in it, and so I'll leave it there. This is my native one that blooms in late winter, early spring as well. So that's grown so much, and I know that's going to be a food source for the new babies that come out in early spring. So I'm happy that I have these plants that are settled. That's my little brachyscome daisy. I gave it a good haircut, and I chopped off this belly buttons as well, so you can put out new shoots. And I don't know if it was such a good idea to do it right now. Like this at the back, right at the back is a camellia, and then in front of it, this fine leaf is a Eremophila, which is also a native plant, and that's right next to the bee hotel. And you know what? I need to give my hotel, or my, I don't know, bee lodge or nursery, I need to give it a name. So I was going to ask all of you, if you think of a name, please write it down in the comments, and we'll see which name we get to choose, and I'll put all the names in a drawer and choose one of them. And yeah, it's good to name a hotel like this, and especially since it's so popular. I've got so many people staying there, so many new babies, the next generation. Yeah, so yeah, I'm so excited to give it a name, and if if you give me some names, and I'll choose whichever name I choose, I will make a plaque. It's nothing so fancy, maybe, but something like a plaque. I'll try and make something rustic and hang it up by the hotel. And there's a view. Look how neat it looks compared to what it was. Wow, that was a mess. Oh, my friend he thought I'd left and came to start picking on the worms and spiders that's there. And these birds are so used to me because I'm always here that they are not fearful. It's just when the dogs are out with me that they fly away or sit on the fence. But if I'm digging up in the garden, they are right behind me, and as I'm turning up the soil, these blackbirds are right there picking out the worms. And I didn't even see worms when I was digging the ground, but they were picking up 2 and 3 worms at a time and flying off to their nest and coming back. So their eyesight is definitely better than mine. And that's another one of his friends up there, that blackbird. Yeah, as I said, there's quite a few up here because they have a nest. And whenever I am cleaning the garden, they get lots of food for their babies in the nest. Yeah, I can see the path. I need to maybe add a bit more of the pavers to join up the path. And my bee hotel. Oh, I'm so excited. Look how many. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, as I said, there's 7. There's 7 or 8. I can't see properly. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That center one is 5, 6, 7. There's 7. Yeah, there's 7 that's sealed off. So they're actually full of little eggs, bee larvae. And that's all new growth for the next season. How exciting is that, to know that this little thing that I put here has helped them to make a home, because bees are, endangered, and they do get a bad rap. But yeah, now they've got a little home here in my little garden. And yeah, I've cleaned that up, and then what I know now with the bare ground, the weeds are gonna come there. So I took out the plants, so I'm gonna plant this portulaca, which I wanted to see or bloom, but they're not happy in this pot. It's so compact and tight, and I'm only getting one flower at a time. So I took them out of there and planted them in the bare space, just so that just to reduce the amount of space where these weeds can grow. Because I'm sure you all know that as soon as you leave a bare patch, the weeds come through. And I planted them all in and gave it a good soak. And I filled up my bee watering bowl as well. And yeah, I put quite a few here. I'm hoping that now that they are in the ground, they will bloom like the ones that I had in the other garden bed. And that one bloomed so prolifically the whole of, I put it, I think, end of last summer and autumn. It was so beautiful. So now these that are planted here still got summer. They've still got a month and a half of summer to go, and even autumn. So I'm hoping they get really huge. Yeah, my garden is so exciting. My little space, it's thriving. And my neighbors, as I said, my neighbor got lots of flowers, so they can go there and eat all the nectar and pollen and come here and relax. And I will have flowers in the season what really matters, when we are in the heart of winter. She doesn't have any flowers. She plants all summer flowers, and she's very good at taking care of it, because her garden is so colorful and full of flowers. And yeah, so I will just keep few flowers that are native, and that should carry them through. And plus I'll have some dandelion weeds growing around for winter and spring, so the bees, when they hatch out, they will be able to feed on that. Just admiring all my hard work. It's so good when you clean up a space to look at it and see how good it looks. I mean, if someone's looking at this firsthand, it doesn't look good, but believe me, it was looking beautiful in the spring. And after the messy shots that I showed you at the beginning, if you saw how full it was, the alyssums all dried up. Now it looks so much better. So I'll put some before and after images, so you can see. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed all this cleanup and the exciting news about the bee hotel and how many bees are there. And while I was here, I cleaned up this side as well. You can see, I'm not going to tell you what I did. You can just see how untidy it was. These weeds were so massive. Again, that's what happens when you have a little bit of a holiday, and the weeds got taller than my plants. And I just thought, clean them all out, neaten up the space. The dogs couldn't even walk their path over here in this side garden. So I've just been, and I didn't even do much. And that's what happens, when it's hot like this, everything, or I should say mostly the weeds thrive. They just put in all their growth over the summer months, and you gotta be on top of them like every week or every day. They sprouting up overnight. And this little bed that I did here as well, that's African sky salvia, is also here. I had one here, and that's also, you can see, falling over and just driving me insane. Falling over these other native plants, my hibbertia here, and I had a marigold. Look at this weed. It's trying to outgrow all my plants. Yeah, I'm taking out the big plants from here as well to just give the space, just to get it to breathe a little. It's too congested there. You can't even see some of the plants. And my succulent that I put in there, that sedum, is not happy because no sun is getting to it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this cleanup, and yeah, give me those names for the hotels, please. Yeah, put it all in the comments, and I'm so excited to see what names you guys come up with. And I hope you enjoyed, being out here and watching me clean. I told you, you just have to watch. You don't have to do any of the hard lifting. I'll do all the hard work. cleaning this garden. And yeah, and you can see how rewarding it is afterwards. Once it's cleaned, it's just a new space. Look, I can see the ground, and you can see the plants properly. I just trimmed everything back, and I'm sure if they're going to bloom, they will bloom again. And it's as I said, it's spring, and we still got autumn even to go, so that would be fine. We should still get some flowers there, but I'm not too fussed because everyone's got flowers there. The bees and the birds can go everywhere else and feed. Yeah, this is much neater now. I opened up the path so the dogs can walk at the back edge there. So I hope you join me next week, and we shall get busy again in the garden. And thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with some images of the garden. Bye.